Hello, everybody. It's Milton Davis from MV Media, and this is 11 Questions. This is a series in which we ask authors 11 questions about their current work and get some feedback and get to know them together, get to know them better. Today, I am talking with Enock Simbaya. Enock is an author from Zambia, and he's the author of Nasomi's Quest, a brand new novel released by MV Media. And we want to get a little bit of, learn a little bit about Enock, his book, and get some insight on his process. So welcome, Enock.
Yeah, thanks. Good to be here.
All right, great, man. I'm glad you were able to get with us today. I know you're a little ahead of us time-wise, so you know that it's 12. I think it's 12 in the afternoon here, and it's what 6 p.m. there.
Yeah, 6 p.m. here. It's getting dark.
Okay, okay. Well, let's get right into this. So the first question is, how did your writing journey begin?
Right. From a young age, I really wanted to write. I started reading a lot of books. I think when I was in grade 7. I don't know the equivalent of grade 7, but I think I was like 12 or 13 when I really got deep into reading.
Mm-hmm.
And I fell in love with Chronicles of Narnia. Yeah, I really loved that series so much that I thought I'll write like this one day. Yeah, and I think that's the book or the series of books that introduced me to fantasy and my first love, I guess, in fantasy. And from there, I tried on and off to write, but things were not so good. Yeah, I guess my major problem was I never used to finish my work, but I guess I tried. But let me say, I think I got serious with writing in 2011. I was just finishing my university that year, and I decided, let me take this serious. And I think from then on, I've been on a journey to improve my writing. Some work was good, some was bad. Yeah, but I think 2017 was my first publication, my first year of publication. I did a short story that I sent to an anthology. And, well, I was surprised they accepted it. Yeah, and it was published. The anthology is called Welcome to the Future. It's about the way different people imagine different futures. I was the only African, the only Zambian on that anthology, so it was quite an honor. And then in the same year, I also had another story published, another anthology. It was called Experimental Writing, Africa versus Latin America. It was done by two editors from Zimbabwe. Yeah, they collected stories from Africa and from Latin America, countries like Brazil, yeah, and countries like that. So, yeah, one of my stories was published in there, and I was delighted. I was honored to have that. Yes. Then from then on, I think it became a boost to me. I thought, yeah, I can do this. Yeah, and I think by then I had already read the anthology that you published. Yeah, the two of them, the griot.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. By then I read it and I was like, yeah, this is the kind of stories that I want to be writing. And yes, I got in contact with you, and here we are.
Yeah, I remember that when you got in contact. I remember getting that email, and I was like, okay, this is interesting, especially when you mentioned that you had read Griots and Griot Sisters of the Spirit. And that's, I guess, when we started our communication, and it eventually ended up to the release of Nasomi's Quest. So another question I have for you is, who were your writing inspirations? I know you already mentioned Narnia, but so others as well.
Oh yeah, there's quite a lot. I hope I can remember them because sometimes you mention the name and then another name will come up later on. Yeah, but yeah, C.S. Lewis, I guess was the first introduction. Of course, I guess like many other fantasy writers, Tolkien has to be there. um, but I think the ones that have really impacted me right now, there is Neddy Okorafor. She's one of my favorite. I love her work.
Yep.
There's Patrick Rothfuss. Yeah, I love his series.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, um, George Martin, I guess maybe I'll put him on 50%. I love his writing style, and yeah, I think he's inspired me somehow. Who else? A name has just come up. Anthony Dua. This guy called Anthony Dua. I hope I've pronounced his name correctly. I think his writing is just up there for me. I think that's the best writing I've read so far. Other people I can mention, maybe Margaret Atwood. Of course, there's you. I love your stories, and somehow I think we think the same, you and me, because the stories that you write and ones that I read, there's just something similar about that. And yeah, you're among that list. So, what else can I think of? Yeah, P. Jelly Clark. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
His work is amazing. Yeah, I guess he's among the list. Yeah. Okay, from the top of my head.
that's a long list, man, and a very distinguished list. I mean, you got a lot of influences there, and I can see that in your work. So when you sit down to write your writing process, are you an outliner? Are you what they call a pantster, or do you do a little bit of both?
A little bit of both. A little bit of both. I don't think I incline to one or the other because some stories I outline, some I outline to a certain extent, and I let the process take me there. And then some I just begin without knowing where I'm going. Yeah, I like to try both. I like to try all sorts of styles. Yeah. Most of my stories take months to create. It might take a short time to write, but it's months or even years of creating. I'll maybe think up an idea, maybe jot it down, and then as days and months and years go on, it would be mulling in my head, and then I'll reach a point to say, okay, now I'm ready to write. Yeah, so I would write that. Yeah, some of the ideas that I would have would be on paper, so I guess I would outline, and then some of them would still be in my head, and some of them I get to discover as I write. Yeah, so I guess it's a weird writing style. It's all over the place, but yeah, it works for me.
Okay, great. Yeah, I mean, everybody has their own way of doing it. I'm more of a pantster. I carry stuff like you mentioned earlier. I carry stuff around in my head till it says, "Okay, I'm ready to write." Then I write it. So it's just there's so many different ways of doing it. Speaking of books, what are some of your favorite books?
All right. I think like I mentioned a few of them. Yeah, the C.S. Lewis. My favorite so far, I guess in my reading life, I'm still reading a lot, so I might find another favorite. Yeah, but Anthony Dua, his books are my favorite at the moment. Yeah, then I guess I'll give second place to Patrick Rothfuss, The Kingkiller Chronicles. Yeah, I love those. And I've read the two books and read them again. Yeah, and I want to read them again because I just love his writing. Uh, yeah, I guess that. And a lot of uh, stuff that we write, black speculative fiction. I love it.
Okay.
It's rich. It's got an ocean of untapped ideas, and I love how it's coming up. How lots of writers are getting into it. How we are embracing our culture, we're embracing our past, and we're saying, yeah, this is the direction to go. So yeah, I'm really into black speculative fiction right now, and I want to read as many as I can. Yeah, I have a mountain of, of books that I need to read.
But you can see mine behind me, so
Yeah,
I probably read about half of those books. The rest of them are waiting to be open. So I've read Nasomi's Quest and really enjoyed it. Been working with you from when this book first started to form, and really was impressed by what it became from those first few short stories to the novel that it is now. And so the question is for you is what inspired you to write Nasomi's Quest?
That's a dense question because it's quite a number of things, but I think what really drove the story is the idea of courage. Mm-hmm. I'm in love with courage as a feeling. I've seen what courage can do. Someone who just wake up one day and just have the courage to do something. And amazing things have happened, because of people who've taken a step, taken the courage to the next level. And the history owes a lot to such people. And so I was thinking to myself to say, if courage was a story, if the emotion courage itself was a story, what would it look like? And I guess from then, Nasomi's Quest was coming on. She's an ordinary person, but yet because of what she goes through, she has to have that courage to take the next step to accomplish her goals. Yeah. So courage was what inspired Nasomi's Quest. And other things, I guess, the elements that come in, things like I wanted to write something African. I wanted to write something that I understood from my background as Zambian, as African. I wanted elements that could express what I know, what I love, the things that I believe in. And so it had to be an African-based fantasy. And what else? I wanted to create a not so traditional love story. I wanted to create something that's a bit different. I wanted to create a story that I myself would love to read. And I guess I did a pretty good job.
You did a really good job of it, and that kind of segues us into the next question. Tell us about Nasomi's Quest. Give us a synopsis of what the story is about.
Yeah, it's very crazy when you ask a writer to talk about their own book. They don't know where to be.
I feel you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised other people understand my book better than I do myself in terms of explaining what it's all about. Yeah, but I guess it's a transformation story. which are my favorite kind of stories, you know, where you take someone ordinary and then by the end of the story, they turn out to be something extraordinary. And basically, Nasomi is an ordinary woman who lives an ordinary life, yeah, and somehow she finds herself falling in love with a prince who has a bride, yeah, and then it's I don't know, things go crazy there. Yeah, he falls in love with her. He uh, gets rid of the other one. Yeah, but then things don't just end like that. You know, and the bride becomes vengeful, comes back into their lives to try to destroy everything, and then Nasomi has to go on a quest to get back the love of her life. And even as she goes on that quest, she also has an internal quest. You know, like I said, it's a transformation story about she becomes extraordinary as she discovers her gifts, as she discovers the things that she can do. Yeah, she discovers that she can see the world, see the past, see the future, see things through her dreams. And as she struggles and embraces that, um, and then at the end, uh, whether she accomplishes her goal or not, she's not the same person that she was at the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Well, every story requires that kind of transformation in it. You know, the characters should be different in the end than they were in the beginning. What I really liked about the story is the details that you put into the different cultures, not only in Nasomi's culture, but in the cultures that she encountered along her journey. And I believe that's one of the strong points of the story. It's more of an epic fantasy feel than an action adventure feel, but the worlds that you take people to are so interesting that you enjoy the ride. I guess to put it that way. A question that I have is it's kind of off script. Is as you were writing the story, how much of the story is based on Zambian culture as you were exposed to it, and how much of it came from your imagination?
Yeah, I like to create almost everything, and so I wouldn't point out exactly to say this is based on culture in Zambia or not. I try to incorporate as many African cultures and beliefs and myths as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess it's not more Zambian, but it's more African. Um, and most of it, maybe 90% of it, is my imagination. I like creating everything from scratch, you know. That's why I write fantasy, I guess, because for me, fantasy is a blank page. It gives me the freedom to create anything that I want. And so I imagine worlds, I imagine cultures, I imagine names, I imagine tribes, I imagine languages. And yeah, I try to put them in as seamlessly as possible. And yeah, so it's I guess 90% imagination.
Yeah. So what do you hope to accomplish with Nasomi's quest? Is there something that in the telling of the story that you wanted to convey to your audience or leave with your audience?
Yes, actually, yes. The first thing that I want people to feel when they read this book is that it's a good story. I guess that's the number one purpose of writing, you know, write a good story. And if people go away thinking it's a good story, then I guess I've done my job. Yeah. And I think the, the background, or should I say, you know, the subtle, I don't know if it is The subtle message that I want to convey is, we can accomplish more than we think that we can. We tend to look down on ourselves. We tend to put ourselves down in comparison with other people. We tend to think we are not extraordinary enough. We tend to think that we're just this and we can never be anything more. But we can surprise ourselves, if we just have the courage to take the first step, do something. You can surprise yourself. You can surprise the people around you, what you can become, and the power to become anything it's unlimited. We have the potential, and all we need is just the courage. Take that first step, take that next step, and you never know where you end up. You might just change the world.
That's a good message. Great message. So, will there be any more stories about Nasomi and her world?
Definitely. Definitely. I just hope I can write them as fast as possible. I'm a very slow writer. It takes sometimes years just to come up with something complete. For example, Nasomi. The seeds of Nasomi's quest were sown in 2014, right? That's when the idea came up. That's when I started writing something about it. Then by the end of 2015, and I had the complete story, and it was a short story by then. Remember when I sent it to you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then 2018, that's when it became a full novel. Yeah, so there is quite a number of stories in my head and down on paper in Nasomi's world, and I just hope I can write them fast enough. Yeah, Nasomi is just it's just the beginning. There's a lot more, and I hope there will be even more amazing than Nasomi's quest. But we'll see.
Okay, well, I'm looking forward to it, especially. So I'm waiting to see that. I'm waiting to see that second volume of it and learn more about. Now let me make sure I'm pronouncing this about Ao or Ao.
Anything you like. I personally pronounce it as Ao.
Let people know so they can be specific. So, how do we keep up with you? How do we keep up with what you're doing and what you're writing and working on in the future?
Oh yeah, well, I'm not so much on social media at the moment, but yeah, I think that will change. I'm on Twitter, at Simbaya. That's my surname Simbaya, or one word, or small letters. I think I'm on Twitter more than anything else. Facebook, I am on Facebook. Just search my name there. Once in a while, I post short stories here and there on Facebook. Mm-hmm. I have got a Medium blog, which I believe I haven't touched in 1,000 years. Yeah, I'm on Medium. Just search my name, Enock Simbaya. You'll find a story or two there. I guess, that's at the moment, that's how people can get in touch with me, find out more. Yeah, and definitely there's more to come. Yeah, because what's in the background of what's out there on my social media pages is just the tip of the iceberg. But I'm always working in the background to provide more content, and definitely soon enough, as time goes on, I think I'll upload quite a volume of things on.
Now you have a new story out right now, a short story, I believe, that's available right now, and it does take place in the world of AO as well. Tell us a little bit about that.
The story is called Naila. It takes place in the southern part of Nasomi's quest takes place in the northern part of it. This one takes place down south. It's about a girl who thinks she's got a curse, yeah, but then turns out to be a blessing at the end of it all. Yeah, funny thing, I started watching the series Cursed on Netflix. Yeah, and I was surprised the connections. Yeah, so it's a bit like cursed in that she thinks she has a curse, but then it turns out to be a gift that saves her people, saves her village. Yeah, it's a short story. I've released it on. There's an app a friend of mine created. It's an app for stories. I can compare it to Wattpad or web novel, so such applications where people are free to create stories and just send them. Yeah, at the moment it's available only for Zambians. Yeah, but he's trying to expand. Yeah, but yeah, I think maybe I should put it out there. Yeah, I don't know, find a way to let other people access it. Yeah,
You
it's
should.
yeah, yeah. It's a short story that's meant to really just introduce another culture in AO, and it's I guess it's not something substantive, but yeah, I guess it's part of the canon. It's part of the world. It's part of the stories that I'm trying to create. Yeah, so yeah, I'll try. I'll find a way to put it out there so that everyone else can access it. Yeah.
Well, I know that people who've read Nasomi's Quest would be very interested in reading this story because you've built a very interesting and detailed world. And once you get into those worlds, you want to see more about it from not only from that character, not only from Nasomi's point of view, but from other characters as well. So yeah, I'll be really looking forward to taking a look at that. I have one last question for you. It's more of a general question. It's basically, what advice would you give to new writers?
Yeah. I think the first advice I would give is to focus on volume or quantity first before quality, because writing, like any other skill, is something that you learn by actually doing. You write a book by actually writing a book, and it takes time to develop your voice. It takes time to develop the skill, but just write and write and write and write. Yeah, I know I've so far I've had this first novel published. Yeah, but I still consider myself someone who's learning. Yeah, I've told myself I won't judge myself in terms of what kind of writer I am until I have reached maybe 10 books. Yeah, after 10 books, I'm like, okay, I think I've learned enough to know what I'm doing, to know which direction I'm taking. Yeah. So I'm still in the experimental stage. Yeah. So I would advise writers to do that. Just write what you can, write as much as you can, put your work out there. Yeah. Not everyone will like it, and not everyone should like it anyway. But there's definitely an audience for you. There's people who's going to like your stuff. Yeah. Don't give up. It's very easy to feel like this is not for me. I shouldn't continue. But if you have a prompting, you know, if you have a prompting to say this is my path, this is what I should do, then just keep on with it. Yeah, write much, write loads, write volumes, and put it out there in the world. Yeah.
Well, that's the questions, all the questions that we have. Thank you, Enock, for spending some time with us and talking a little bit about your books. Again, everybody, this is Nasomi's Quest, an excellent fantasy novel. Hopefully you'll get a chance. Well, I know you'll get a chance to pick it up and take a look at it. Again, this is 11 questions. We hope you enjoyed it. There will be more to come. You can pick up Enoch's book at MV Media. That's www.mvmediaatl.com. You can also pick it up anywhere books are sold. Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, anywhere. So thank you for joining us, and we'll see you again soon.